This illustration deals with the emergency disconnect in accordance with NEC 480.7b. Purpose of the change was to provide a new subdivision. This new subdivision has been added to clarify the requirements for an emergency disconnect for one and two family dwellings, and mainly a disconnect or its remote control for stationary battery systems shall be located at a readily accessible location outside the building for emergency use and labeled emergency disconnect. Now, we can determine the difference in readily accessible and accessible by going to and reviewing the definition of such terms in NEC Article 100. Now, the note, let's review the note, and it talks about, and reads, the note reads, conductor connections are not shown, just batteries and equipment, so that the user and reviewer of this illustration won't think, that's all. There is two battery systems. We know we got to go over, and for identification of power sources, we have to see 480.7G, and for battery maintenance and safety, we would review NFPA 70B, and we would review the Annex L and 70E, Article 320, if we really want to, know the regulations that are involved in, performing maintenance on these battery areas. Now, there is some information in the callouts that I think are important. And first, right at the bottom where it shows a dwelling unit for one family and two family dwellings, and then notice we would review 480.7b for that information. The emergency disconnect that you see at the right and the dotted lines pointing toward the building, then notice that is an emergency disconnect that has to comply with NEC 480.7b. And thirdly, it has to be readily accessible outside the dwelling unit as outlined in 480.7b. And notice that the battery area that you see there, titled with a call-out stationary unit, enclosure with batteries and overcurrent devices and other necessary components is outlined in 480.7b, would be reviewed and looked at. And then, of course, you may have stationary batteries and racks, as you see to the left of the battery area and stationary unit. And notice the stationary battery systems are also addressed in 480.7b. And if you should be using a battery type system in a healthcare facility, then I would recommend that you review 517.30, B as in boy, 3. Now, once again, if you're designing for these battery systems and you're locating these battery systems with disconnects and so forth in a healthcare facility, then see NEC 517.30, B as in boy, 3. This illustration and this purpose of change all provides information, for emergency disconnects under the regulations of 480.7b.